All right, everyone, let's go ahead and begin. This is not a business meeting. This is a family meeting. I have officially abolished the title business meeting. It just sounds so dry and terrible. I guess legally you have to call some meetings a business meeting. I don't know. But this is a family meeting. This is a time just for us to get together and talk. My apologies for those of you who are eating. Don't feel like you have to turn around and look at me. Just absorb what you can. I just want you to hang out, be comfy. But anyway, thanks for being here. It's really sweet to begin to start doing these again and spend time together. Oh, yeah. What do you need, Vicki?
Since we're all family and this is a family gathering,
Yes?
Tommy's birthday is today.
No way! Yes! That is the very thing we need to know at family meetings. All right. Here in this room and at home, we are going to sing happy birthday to this guy. All right. In the key of whatever. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tommy. Happy birthday to you. Ow! We love the Thomases. What a gift. All right, what am I doing here? So we've got a number of different things that we want to talk about, and I will go through those fairly quickly, and then, but this is also going to be a time for you to dialogue. You can ask questions along the way. You can save questions till the end, whatever you want to do. Again, this is part of our ongoing just effort to just communicate with you, and knowing, too, in full disclosure, that we are flawed leaders, and you know, really how the church should work is that the local church, the leaders need to utilize the collective wisdom of the body. So this is also a time to hear from you guys and to get your wisdom. And again, it's, you know, that's how the body functions. We need all of the giftedness and perspectives of the body. So there'll be a time for you to kind of give us input and help us as well. Lukash, are you ready to do this thing? I think we're ready for our first slide. Okay, next after that. All right, here's what we're going to discuss. And again, most of these are going to be fairly fast. I'll give you guys a review of the 20-year plan. We'll talk about children's ministry update and rebooting that. You see on the list small groups there. We're reviving kind of a renewed vision for small groups and what they are. I'll give you some update on eldership, financial stuff, property update, lease status here at Grace Prep, building search. I'll talk to you about a staffing need that we have, and then at the end there, Q&A, where you can ask any question under the sun. Nothing is forbidden. Nothing is too controversial. Ask whatever you want, be it something related to this meeting or not, or just trivia. If you want to like stump me on something, which would not be hard to do, you can totally do that. Okay, so that's where we're going. Okay, so you guys know our mission. We have a mission statement as a church. We exist to do three things generally: to prize, portray, and proclaim the supremacy of Christ in all things for the joy of all people. So in other words, our church exists to prize Christ supremely as our highest joy. We want to portray Christ with increasing life change and transformation in our relationships to one another. And we want to proclaim the supremacy of Christ in all things as the message that the nations need to hear, for the joy of the nations. So these are our priorities. It's personal growth, it's internal growth, and then it's global Great Commission growth. That's who we are as a church. You see the 7 non-negotiable priorities at the bottom there. You know, again, if anyone asks you, what does your church do? What are kind of your priorities? What do you guys stand for? They're there. That's what we do. We preach the word and sound doctrine. We want to treasure the triune God. We want to pray with urgent passion for the impossible. We want to equip the saints for the work of ministry. Speak the truth to one another in love, which we call redemptive relationships. Love one another with radical affection and proclaim the gospel both locally and abroad. That's who we are. That defines what we do. And so everything we do, it fits in one of those 7 categories and in our mission as a church. So that's who we are. Next slide. And you guys know that we have a 20-year plan, to change the world, which I realize sounds ambitious, but what else are we going to do? If we don't have a desire to change the world, then what are we doing here? You see that, and it's broken down into kind of 4 stages. Years 1 through 5 is internal impact, and you see the other regional, national, global. Here's where we're currently at. We're in year 2 of the first 5 years of the 20 years. So right now we're in the middle of our internal impact as a church. What does that mean? So the next slide explains that internal impact is just really focused on internal church health and growth. So when I got here, almost 2 years, can you believe it's almost 2 years? In January, it'll be 2 years since we've been here. And so, one of the things that I noticed is, you know what? We're really in a rebuilding phase as a church, and that's an okay thing. That's really a good place to be. Every church kind of has these ebbs and flows, and if you follow baseball at all, is my favorite analogy for where we're at as a church. We're playing Texas Rangers baseball, which means we're rebuilding. Wait, that sounds terrible. We're a professional team, but we're rebuilding as a church. We're rebuilding, and we're learning how to put the pieces together again, learning how to be a church again. And so we want to cultivate body-building priorities and practices. And what these first 5 years are so crucial because we want to so grow in internal church health that these first 5 years would literally set the trajectory for the rest of our history as a church. Like, I really believe that these first 5 years are so crucial that if we play our cards right, we will be a church that can have regional, national, and even global impact. Think about that. I really believe that's possible. And it begins even with having meetings like this and connecting together in this way. So that's why we have this focus on doctrines. We're talking about that so much. That's why we want to have a focus on shepherding, pastoring. How do we minister to you guys, help you? That's why we're talking about equipping and discipleship all the time, redemptive relationships. Why? Because that builds a healthy church, and healthy churches make a global impact and change the world. So here's the goal. It's easy to think about church in terms of, okay, if we cross this threshold, if we meet this criteria, if we check these boxes, if we accomplish this goal, then we can say, okay, we've arrived. And that's not the right way to look at church. It's never about a part of arriving. It's being healthy enough to multiply, multiplying disciples, multiplying churches. That's what we need to do, starting in this really strategic area called the DFW area. I mean, there are 8 million people in this area, and millions of the 8 million don't know Christ. That's really big. That's a really sweet opportunity. So it is our job to reach them. So we want to be healthy enough to multiply as a church. That's the kind of stuff that implicitly the Bartels and the Swains were, and the Reeves. That's why they launched this thing, because they wanted that. They wanted that. Am I right? That's exactly what we wanted. So that's where we're at as a church. Okay, next slide. All right, so here's what's been done. So far, 2 years, here's a list of things. If you're like, okay, so what have we done? It's kind of hard to kind of look back and see what's been done. So here are the things that we've sought to implement in the last couple of years. The elders are currently in the process of sort of rebuilding a theology and a methodology of eldership. How do you be an elder? What does it mean to be an elder of a local church? So we're constantly working through that. That we've implemented equipping classes and biblical and theological training. We just want to make that available to you. We have began biblical counseling training, not only here in this church by way of a class, but also there are certain people that I've asked, and they've graciously agreed to do biblical counseling certification so that we have our own biblical counseling center in our church. We're on the way to that happening. That's tremendously exciting. We want to do monthly all-church fellowship meals. Before the whole COVID thing blew up, we were meeting once a month, eating together. So I think we're going to revive that. Men's discipleship, so we're calling it Ezra 710 Men. There's lots of young guys in this church, an increasing number of young guys. And so Tommy and I and Charles, we're investing in them. And then we've started a young adult small group, and that's meeting at our house at Monday nights. New women's Bible study, in addition to the ongoing women's Bible study that's going on. Kids catechism before everything kind of unraveled with pandemic stuff. We had a kids catechism going on. The Novotnys were leading that, and it was going exceptionally well. We're going to revive that. So that's a list of really great things that are basic. They're nothing mind-blowing. I mean, none of the church growth specialists would say, well, do those kinds of things and your church will really get huge. They're probably not going to say that. But what these kinds of things are the things that really build internal church health and growth. So those are really exciting to me. I get pumped about those kinds of things, and I hope you do too. And what this winds up being is, this provides a forum for people to come to our church and say, you know what, there's something for me here. There's ways for me to get trained and equipped and to be grown and shepherded and cared for and counseled, and that's what that is. The 3 on the bottom that don't have bullet points, this is stuff that's in process or about to happen. You see that we're constantly trying to relaunch ministry teams. So Yevi is the ministry team coordinator. Eric and I are working together on that. We want to provide opportunities for you to serve in really tangible ways. We're going to roll out a new vision for small groups. I'll talk a little bit about that this morning. But on January 3rd, we're gonna have a new. I have this extremely handsome kid staring at me down here. Hello, hello. Smile too. Yes, yes. That's a win. We're gonna have a new Arlington small group, and we're just gonna we really want small groups to be central to our church. And then I can't see. Oh yeah, so relaunch children's ministry, which we're gonna do on January 3rd. So this is a big list of things, and I'm really excited about this. Next slide. Okay, so here's what still needs to be done in the first 5 years, okay? There's still some things. We really want to expand the doctrinal statement. It's good. I mean, we're not going to change anything. We're just going to add to what we already have. We're going to really give it some muscle, really beef it up, so we're going to be working through that. I'm kind of thinking through a rigorous process for potential elders. There are men in this room who need to pray about in the future, be it 2 or 5 or 10 years down the road, pray about becoming elders. And so what's the process to becoming an elder? And I'm actually going to talk about that this morning. This is a little harder to measure, but we need to cultivate redemptive relationships. And redemptive relationships are that your spiritual growth is my top priority, my spiritual growth is your top priority. I want to know enough about you to be able to really talk to you about really where you and I are at spiritually, and I want to unbear my soul to you and tell you what I'm struggling with, and have us provide that kind of level of spiritual investment in one another's lives. I see glimpses of that here, and it's extremely encouraging. So that's harder to measure, but that's really crucial. We want to, and I believe small groups will be the platform for that. Men's and women's discipleship, shepherding, investing in families. We have an increasing amount of families coming here, and it's our responsibility, not just mine and the elders, but all of our responsibility to minister to them. Some other things in there, evangelism training. I mean, we're coming up on that 5-year mark. That 5-year mark, when it hits year 5, I want to start launching some evangelism objectives, initiatives in the DFW area. Well, we need to get started on that training now, and we need to be people who know how to proclaim the gospel. So, and then also we want to, how do we train and equip deacons and philosophy of missions, kind of want to revisit that. And so lots of things. I mean, we are not bored here. There are many things to do. So all this is contributing to internal church health and growth, okay? Okay, so questions on that so far. You could save it to the end, or you can ask some questions now. That was super fast. But I just want you to know, here's what the elders are thinking about. Here's what we're thinking through. We have you in mind all the time, and these things are for you. And any questions on any of that? That was fast, but anything you need elaboration on? And if not, it's okay. All right, interrupt me at any time with questions. I really mean that. Okay, all right, children's ministry update. We're going to do it. We're going to launch this thing back up. Tammy Monty has graciously decided to step in and be coordinator. She will hate me for saying this, but she wants to just do it for free. She wants to just do it as a way to serve and come through in the clutch off the bench, and really sweet of her to want to do that. So she is going to help kind of coordinate all the moving parts with teachers and curriculum and all those kinds of things. I have emailed a bunch of people and asked them, and I'm recruiting people right now to build our children's ministry team. We're redesigning the format of how we do Sunday morning. It's going to be, we're going to preach to the kids. We're going to preach to them. Preach little mini sermons, and we're going to break up into discipleship groups, and we're going to invest in the kids, and we're just going to do the Matthew 28 thing at the children's ministry level upstairs. I'm really excited about this. And so we are actually going to have a children's ministry luncheon next Sunday with those people that I've invited, and and I'll be in conversation with others of you. Here's the reason why I contacted individuals and asked them to be there, is because when you do general call-outs, if anyone's interested, show up, you don't really get many people showing up. So I hand-picked people and just say, look, would you be interested in doing this? And we'll continue to recruit people. If you are interested, though, if you didn't get an email, it's not because I think you're terrible or can't do it. It's just like, look, I want to start with a group who can definitely do it, and if you're interested in being a part of that, don't hesitate, let me know, and you can come have lunch with us too. So anyway, it's fairly open, but we want to launch this thing January 3rd. We're going to launch this thing January 3rd and make disciples of the nations, starting right upstairs with our own kids. Okay, that's that. Any questions on that? I know there's tons and more that could be said. And by the way, if you've served on it before and you didn't get contacted, I just assume that there will be some continuity, right? I'm contacting people who have never been part of it. If you've been part of it and you're like, you know what, I'd still like to be a part of it. Why didn't Jared talk to me? You still be a part of it. I want you to be on board. Just come talk to me, okay? Any questions or thoughts about that? Okay, that's good news though, right? Good news that we want to launch this thing. I mean, we have a responsibility to shepherd and make disciples right here within our own walls. So this is exciting. All right, next one, small groups. Let me ask you this. What would you say, so I'm going to put you on the spot here, so kind of for some interaction, what would you say are the components of a perfect small group? In other words, what would be the kind of small group that you would want to come to and say, you know what, I wouldn't miss that thing for the world. Okay, this is what would make a really great small group. What would you say would have to be at that small group? What kinds of things?
Food.
There's got to be food, and she's right. She's totally right. Okay, that is biblical, right? Absolutely, no, but seriously though, I mean, you look at, if you looked in your concordance, small groups in the Bible, are you going to find it? There's not an entry for small groups. Those words, small group, doesn't appear in the New Testament, right? However, Acts chapter 8, Paul's kicking in doors, right? Every home that he kicked in a door, what was going on inside? A small group, right? Mini church. And what were they doing in that small group? Studying the word, praying, and eating together. We got to eat. Okay, so food is number one, 100 points. Okay, what else? Oh yeah, Victoria.
Could we do it in person, like the small groups, like the women's Bible study? I feel like it's
Yeah.
not the same on Zoom.
Yeah, so her question for the people home is, can we do the ladies' Bible study in person? Yeah, no, that's a tricky thing, you know. I mean, where we're at with this whole thing is that some people feel comfortable enough to do in person, and some people aren't quite there yet, and that's okay. And you know, we'll just you know, let that play out and provide an online Zoom option for those who would feel more comfortable with that. I get it, and even the people who do stuff from home, they feel it too. Two-dimensional koinonia is really hard, right? Two-dimensional fellowship is really challenging. I mean, we did young adults small group on Zoom, and it was agonizing, right? It was agonizing. I don't know if it was you or me, Sarah, but one time, like, we were talking about it, and we just went. It's just hard. It's really hard. It's just really, really a challenge. So that's up to the ladies leading it. I mean, you could definitely ask them that question, and I'm sure they'd have a really sweet answer for that. So anyway, we'll see how that goes. Right. Absolutely. Yes.
Now we have no place to meet.
Oh, right. Is it just a matter of place?
That's part of it.
Oh, okay. Well.
Not want to be around COVID, you know.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's a mix of things. Okay. Yeah. So I'd say talk to the ladies about it, and
Most of us would like to meet in person.
of course, yeah, everyone would like to meet, right? What else? Components of a really great small group. Yeah.
Aside from young adults, maybe, but a diversity of age.
Hmm.
I think that in small groups, if you just come to a small group that doesn't have a particular title like young adults, or if the young adults are married couples, just for the married couples, because there's certain issues to talk over. But if it's just small group for studying the scriptures and diversity of age, then
Yeah.
definitely fellowship with youngers, with the elders,
Mhm.
because the youngers do get trained by the elders.
Absolutely, yeah. And I love that. That's real, I mean, it's mini church, right? I mean, it's a cross section of the body, and so you want various ages. So what Vlad said there was that you want multiple ages gathered together in a small group, and a diversity of peoples in that small group. Yeah, that's really huge. Yeah, other things that would make a really great small group. The ideal small group. What else would you say?
People who have your back in prayer.
Yeah. So he said people who have your back in prayer. So people who are praying for you, they know how you're doing. They're praying for you throughout the week. They text you throughout the week. They're finding out how you're doing, right? Teague's really good at that, just checking up on people throughout the week. And so, I mean, you want a group of people where we're doing what we're calling redemptive relationships, right? We're caring for one another's spiritual growth as our top priority. Oh, yeah, Tammy. Commitment and vulnerability. Absolutely, right? So commitment meaning you got to be there, but then vulnerability meaning you got to open up. Yeah, you got to be real, right? And that's what's so freeing about being redeemed sinners. Right? I mean, we all struggle. Life is hard. Sanctification is a battle, right? We all have things for which we desperately need prayer, personal things that are even hard to share. I've got them and you've got them. And so small groups should be a platform where we can share those kinds of things, knowing that, hey, I am a ransomed sinner just like you, and I get it. And so, and yet it's a challenging place where we can grow and be challenged and be changed. So all of that and more makes a really great small group. That's not probably any different than what has been already happening, but it's just good to revisit this and like, okay, what do we do? How do we make small groups? Here's why small groups are so strategic to the church's mission. You see it on the screen there. We want to learn to study and apply God's word, right? I mean, like small groups are not just a Bible study, but by golly, we are going to study the Bible, right? We are going to dig into the text. We're going to see what the text says, not how I feel about the text or what do I think it means. It's no, we are going to dig into the text and we are going to grapple with the words of the text, and it should change our lives, right? We should leave. Every small group should be a fork in the road for us. I have to be different because of what Ecclesiastes 3 just said, or whatever the text is, right? So we want our lives to be changed by God's word because that's the instrument of our sanctification. But number two, small groups are so crucial because they're an extension of pastoral care. What I mean is, I can't get to all of you. I wish I could. I wish I had time to, 55, 72 hours in a day, and I could just, fill up my day with meetings to hang out with you. I can't do it, and I can't get to all of them. Neither can the elders. And so small groups are a way. Whoever's leading that is an extension of elder pastoral care. That's what it's there for. And so how can we find out how we're doing? Because you're being shepherded by a small group shepherded. You're being cared for by a small group shepherd. So that's what that is. And then a platform for redemptive relationships, right? I mean, it's what Tammy was talking about. You're present and you're vulnerable and you're asking for help and you're asking people to help you and come alongside you. And that's what redemptive relationships are. And then finally, to provide a culture of hospitality. Right? I mean, we have to be in each other's homes. This is just essential. Again, we can take our time with COVID stuff, and that's okay. There's time, and when everything is, then we can have at one time. Eventually, there will be no hindrance to meeting in any home. That's great. Until then, we'll meet in homes where people are comfortable to do so. But this is we want to provide a culture of hospitality. This is crucial to the church's mission to be hospitable. So small groups are big. They're really, really big. So as we talk more about this in the coming weeks and months, I just want you to know I want 100% involvement in small groups, 100%. If you're not in one, I want you to be a part of one, and because I really believe that these will be the platform for change. There are some one another's that you can do in a small group that you can't necessarily do as easily on a Sunday morning, right? So I want if you're not in a small group, not as some like legalistic box-checking way, oh, you're not cool, you're not in the club if you're not in a small group. That's not what we're about. I just want you to grow. I want you to a place where you can connect and be encouraged by other people. So Charles, you had your hand, and then Vicki.
Just a mention, I believe it's our intent to try to make our small group geographical to some degree.
Yes, great point. Thank you for that reminder. Yeah, so how we want to do this is make them roughly geographical. So whatever the region in which you live, there will be a small group. We're going to try to do a small group in that region, close to you as possible, where that will be your location. So if we have several people in Fort Worth, so West Arlington, or maybe eventually even a Fort Worth small group. We have enough Fort Worth people. We could probably come close to having our own Fort Worth small group. So geographical. So whatever is kind of in your area, that's your small group. If you're a Grand Prairie person, then Rich's small group is the way to go. Arlington, I'm going to ask Tommy to lead an Arlington small group, and he'll be the shepherd for that. We do the young adult small group at our house. And so, yeah, thank you for that. That was probably more info than you needed, but that's where we're going. And yeah, Vicki, what were you going to say?
In your experience, what do you feel would be an ideal number for a small group?
As like number of small groups?
No, number of people in a small group.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't have like anything in a philosophy that says, well, it should be capped at this, only this many people and no more. But I will say, Vicki, this won't necessarily answer your question. I do think that every small group should have it within their minds at the outset that eventually they need to multiply. So I think after they get to a certain size, I think that's a really sweet opportunity to Red Sea that thing, split it down the middle, and then start another small group and just keep multiplying, right? Because we want to be healthy enough to multiply. So I think small groups of 30 people are super fun, but I think we need to whack it up a little bit and do it that way. So that doesn't really answer your question, but when it becomes too big, we're hindered in some things. Let's split it up. Any other questions on small groups? So I'm looking for 100% involvement, connection to small group. These are exciting days. Okay, nothing? All right, that's okay. It's all right. All right. Next thing. And again, interrupt me anytime with questions. I am here for you. Eldership update. So I want you guys know where we're at as far as eldership, who are elders currently. You guys know that Larry and Steve and Charles and Rich and myself are elders. So just so you know, our perspective is that although I am the lead pastor, I'm not like the Pope elder. I am a leader among equals. My job is to be the boots on the ground guy who's freed up full time to do what I love. So my job is to be to be very much sort of the vision setter kind of guy, and then take something that's kind of raw and unpolished to the elders, and we craft it and sharpen it together, and then eventually bring it to you. So it's not like I do all the planning and vision and strategy, and the elders just kind of have to go, I guess that sounds good. We weigh in on that together. So I am one of the elders, and my role is as the lead guy. That's kind of how we do it here. That's why I don't use the term senior pastor. I think it's got funky connotations. I mean, it's not bad, it's not wrong. I just I'm one of the elders. I'm the lead guy, a leader among equals. But we do have a rotation of elders here. You probably knew that guys are on for a certain spell of time, and then after a certain number of years, they I think Rich calls it rolling off the elder team. So Larry and Rich will be transitioning off the elder team in February. So they'll have kind of run their course, and then they'll be transitioning off then. And then Tommy is actually in the eldership process right now, which I'm really, really happy about. And so that's kind of where we're at. Go to the next slide. Here's what the eldership process looks like. So this is something that I'm going to be implementing here. So what does it look like to become an elder? I'm actually going to have a 1 to 2 year process so it's not just like, well, he's around and he's got a pulse, he should be an elder. No, we want to know a guy, to know who a man is, really who he is. So a 1 to 2 year process, and those guys who are in the process, like Tommy, we want to give opportunities to lead and teach. Tommy is an exceptional teacher. That's why he's teaching Genesis and other things. He comes to elders meetings. I'm going to give Tommy, I'm just using him as an example, going to give to him 2 to 3 pretty weighty, big, heavy, dense books of theology and eldership and pastoral ministry to think through that will really, kind of be aligned with where we're at as a church. And continually, we want to put prospective elders in a process of evaluating, number one, their doctrine. Where are they at doctrinally? Can they sign off with no hesitation to our doctrinal statement? Number two, their character. Who are they? Do they match up with 1 Timothy 3, 1 through 7, Titus 1, 5 through 9? And then number three, giftedness, right? 1 Timothy 3:2 says that an elder, a pastor, because again, that's what an elder is. An elder, just so you know, an elder is a pastor. A pastor is an elder. It's the same thing. Some of those guys are freed up financially. Some guys do it for free. They're not discount. They are just as qualified, and yet their role is a little bit different. So we want to evaluate their giftedness. An elder should be able to teach, should be able to handle God's word. And then, again, just prolonged examination of a prospective elder's life. I mean, we're going to ask the hard questions, and you should ask the hard questions too. And so, eventually in the future, we're going to have, things that have an elder's name, and it'll have the qualifications with a box listed. And you have to be able to check off if this elder meets that qualification. So that's the collective wisdom of the body. You should be able to weigh in on who the elders are, and there should be a platform for you to be able to be a part of that process. So that is coming in the future. We're not there yet, but we're gonna get there. Questions on eldership process, how we do it, why we do what we do. Would you agree to that? Do you like what you're hearing as far as thinking through elders and getting your input on them? So eventually I'm going to ask you about Tommy. I'm going to ask you to have, I'm going to have a card, and you're going to fill something out about Tommy. If you don't know, it's like, well, I don't know. I just haven't talked with Tommy. Well, that's okay. You don't have to put anything. You can do a no vote, I suppose. I don't know how we're going to do that, but just want to hear from you. Does that seem like a good thing, congregational involvement in choosing shepherds of the flock? So, okay, good. Thank you very much. So that's where we're at. We just want to be healthy. We just want to give you quality guys, quality shepherds to minister to you, because the elders are your first line. Actually, small group shepherds will be your first line of defense, and elders also, but they are your go-to shepherds. Okay, Teague, please.
Can you tell us a little more about that rotation thing? And I think like Rich is the chair of the elders right now. Is it, and what's the process with that?
Yeah.
Tell us about that position and what it.
Great question. Yeah, great question. So Teague's question is, can you explain more about the elder rotation process? And Rich is the elder chair, so how does that work with him rolling off in February as the elder chair? What does that process look like? And I assume appointing a new kind of chair. Yeah, it's a great question. Some of that we haven't talked through yet as elders, so we've got a little time before February comes to hammer some of that out. As far as the rotation goes, it is, when Rich gets up here in a minute to talk about financial things, he can weigh in more on it if he wants. It's something that I inherited, so it's something when I came here, that was a process that was in place, and it's fine. And I think the rationale is that the rationale of a rotation is that you give a guy kind of a break and give him a breather after several years of intensive ministry, which Rich has had, several intense years, and very intense for a while there, and so it just kind of gives a guy a breather and allows him to step away from that. And but as far as like appointing a new chair, we haven't discussed that. But that's a great question. We do need to do that. I actually, kind of forgot about that. So thanks. See, collective wisdom of the body. Thank you very much. Yeah, Don.
Historically, we have always tried to have every person who's a member of the body assigned to a particular elder. Every person is a member, there will be one elder that is responsible for keeping up with them.
Good. Yeah, that's real good. So it's really good, Don. That's excellent. Yeah. So what Don said is that in years past, it's been that every person was assigned an elder. That's their go-to guy. That's their shepherd. We actually had a version of that recently when everything kind of shut down, and we made a list of names, and elders were assigned to those people. So I love that idea. I think that'd be really good. Make it explicit. Who do I go to if I have to talk about something? Who do I go to?
Even each elder should have somebody they report to. Keep up with whatever he wants.
That's a good idea.
Because even the pastor needs an elder to go to.
100%. Yeah, thank you.
Accountability.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you for that. Absolutely. And just so you know, as far as for me and who do I go to, it's kind of a mixed bag right now. Obviously, I'm real close with Rich, and I can and do share everything with Rich. No stone unturned. Tommy has reached out to me even before he was in this process, and as a man who is there for me. Obviously, my wife is first line of defense in the home. I also do have guys in Spokane that I connect with, and I probably need to connect with them more than I do, but they're guys who are there for me, and so all of the kind of accountability things, that's on their radar, those guys back up in Spokane, and so I am a man under good accountability, and I'm real grateful for that. So I just can see that growing even more and more being here. But I love that, Don. That's exactly right. That's good church right there. That's healthy stuff. Any other thoughts, questions about eldership and what's it looking like? Again, we just want to serve you, shepherd you best we can. We are with you. We are from among you, equals with you, and yet we feel the responsibility to shepherd you. We're highly imperfect at it, but we want to do better. Yeah, Janie.
I just want to encourage the elders to not forget about the seniors in our church. I have had several conversations with seniors that feel left out
Yeah,
and not honored or checked on.
yeah,
Patrol do super check on us elders
yeah.
in the church, but they need more than just Charles. They need you and the other elders to check on them.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, because that's what I was going to ask. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I mean, I was going to say, I mean, I know Charles is heavily involved and connected, and no one's better at that than Charles. But I was going to ask, by that, do they mean me in particular? Which is totally fine. I just want to know.
Just the elders in general, just
Okay.
not check, not, calling them, checking people.
Okay.
Bonnie Peterson just fell this past week. She needs some people to call.
Okay. Okay.
And check on her. Yeah, I talked to her yesterday too,
Great.
but I mean, people that, like Jerry.
Okay.
you know,
Great.
Steve and Larry.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. That's real helpful. Appreciate that. Yeah. Anything else? Yeah, please, Mike.
Include yourself, Jared. How many elders do we have? 4 or 5?
5 total, counting me. Yep. Yep.
We'll have one less after the rotation.
So 2 will roll off. Tommy will come on soon after that, I think. So I think we'll be down to 4 total at that time. So which I think is okay. I don't think there's any magic number, and more is great, but so that's where we'll be at number wise. Yeah, great questions. That's really helpful. Yeah, go ahead.
I just had a question about the elderly. Linda, who used to come to our church, I was just never really understood the issue
Hmm.
that she had.
Yeah.
And I want to know the issue so that we can, curb the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so what do we do in a situation where someone's no longer with us? Good question. So if you want, afterwards you and I can talk, and I can just kind of share some things that would help, minister to her, and things that would be helpful there. So we could talk afterwards. That's a great question. To that point though, I mean, it is definitely the responsibility of shepherds to pursue people who are no longer with us, or they're just not around as much. But it's also, I want to place that back on you guys as well, to reach out to people, and that is all of our responsibility, to go after people who, for whatever reason, we don't have to assume the worst, but people are no longer with us. That's not just my job to call them. Hey, where are you at? It's your job too. So I very much encourage you to be a part of that. If you notice, I'll put it this way: if you notice the ball's in your court, if you notice, it's on you. It's on you. Because again, we are a body, and we've got to work together. That's how the body works, right? The hand feels something weird. The hand's got to go after the foot. I don't know. That's kind of weird. But anyway, so the body has to work together in that way. Yeah, Sarah.
Regarding the seniors, is that going to be kind of in with the Mercy team to check in with the seniors in the church and then update the elders on their needs?
Great question. Yeah, so Sarah asked about the Mercy team and the Mercy team's role in connecting with the senior saints. Absolutely. So one of the ministry teams that we have, the Mercy team, is to help with the very things like Bonnie, right? And so mobilize the saints, because again, yes, the elders should pursue all people, and our sweet seniors in particular, but that's also should be a whole church mobilized to to have their ear to the tracks as far as the needs that are there. So the Mercy team, one of the things that they would and will do is that very kind of scenario, help meet, bring food or just to visit or whatever is needed in that situation. So people within the body, and that's what I want more of, is more people within the body mobilized to meet those kinds of internal needs in the body. That's healthy church right there. So does that answer your question? Yeah. So we actually have, so Vlad and Victoria, so they are a part of the Mercy team. No one feels things more deeply than them. No one responds to needs or crises quickly than them. And so they're perfect candidates to help kind of lead a Mercy team and help kind of mobilize that. So yeah, great. Thank you. That's perfect. Appreciate that. Good. Anything else about elders? This is really great. I hope this is helpful for you. And I know I'm kind of blowing through these fast, but okay. All right. Next slide. Don't hesitate to keep asking questions. Rich, if you want to come, say a few things about financial status, property, and Grace Prep, please.
Very good. I'm glad Jared gives me the exciting things to talk about. Letting you know, then we'll talk about a couple other things, and I guess I'm on live now. They're allowed to. So next slide, please. So I want to talk to you briefly about our funds here, and I don't know if that's easy to read or not, but we have 4 funds at Christ Community Bible Church. We have the general fund, which is our operating expenses. That's how we do things day to day, week to week, month to month, and so on. We have a missions fund. We have a care fund. I'll talk about that just briefly in a moment, and then a building fund that we also have. So we have 4 funds. We're going to focus mostly on the general fund because that's our operating fund and budget that we have. But going through, we actually have a fiscal year for the general fund that begins in March and ends at the end of February. The reason we do that is the congregation votes on the budget. And trying to get a congregational meeting in December to get together to vote on a budget would be nearly impossible. December's just too busy. We said, let's just go ahead and push that out. And what we had done in the past was the elders would have a budget, but we wouldn't implement it till the congregation voted on it. So in effect, our fiscal year really was kind of February through January. We just made it March, give us more time. So that's when our fiscal year is. So you'll expect a meeting in February for the next year's budget, for the 2021 budget. Also, our monthly budget right now is a little over $21,000 a month. That's how we budget, and that's our operating expenses. Pays for staff, pays for all kinds of things that you see and experience day to day. We have a missions fund. Their fiscal year is a little different, runs from May through April, and they have a monthly budget of about $6,200 that they have. A care fund, there is no budget for it. There is no fiscal year. The care fund, we used to call it the Elders Discretionary Fund, if you remember that. But a lot of people didn't know what that was. So this is money that you have to designate. By the way, you have to designate to any of these funds. If you don't designate funding, we assume it's general fund. That's just how that works. But the care fund is for the elders to help take care of the flock, the local body. So if there's needs in the body that we know about that we can meet financially, then the elders have money to draw upon. And so, but if you don't designate, hey, I want to give money specifically to the care fund, we won't have money in that fund. Right now we have about $3,900 in that fund. And like I said, this is when the elders have needs that come up. We have funding available to meet those. Yes, sir.
Which fund is in dire need, or which one would really benefit from
I'm going to actually say the general fund is going to be, I think, the priority fund, and I treat it that way. We want to do everything else. We have to take care of each other. Missions, we're committed to missions, and so on. But the general fund is the operating fund. That's our operating budget.
If there's not enough money in the general fund, would the care fund
No.
supplement?
No. So those are separate funds. The building fund, so when we sold our property in Grand Prairie, however many years ago that was now, the money, the proceeds from that went into a building fund for a new building. And by the way, we took money out of that for the land in the Mansfield. And when we sell the Mansfield property, that money will go into the building fund as well. So that is the funds that are set aside for that. Does that make sense? any questions? I know this was a little confusing on this. So when you designate, and you should see this if you use your app on your phone and you want to give, you can designate which fund you want to give to. And it's going to default to general fund, but you can say, I know I want to go to missions, or I want to go. So I gave recently to missions, and I just went on there and I had to hit the drop down, go to missions. Boom, it goes to missions. I can designate for the care fund and so on. Excuse me. But you designate where your funding goes. If there is no designation, it goes to general fund. That's our operating budget. Next slide. So I'm just going to give you an update here on where we're at, and boy, that's hard to read, but that's okay. So only 2 numbers in red. And by the way, overall, we're doing really well. So here's the story. On year to date, our budget is about $170,000, okay? We've only spent about $164,000, and our giving is just under budget. I don't want to do math in public, but that generally means that we have about $6,000 that we are in the plus side so far for this year, which is tremendous, by the way. In the COVID year, there are churches and other folks that are really suffering. You people give, and that we love that. But we have 2 of them in the red, and I'm going to explain that. The one is property and general admin, and that's your building and admin fund up here. So we took money out of the general fund. So you give it to the general fund, and we designate that for the building fund. So $1,000 a month goes towards that. There's a reason we do that. I'm going to be brief, but if you have questions, talk to me later. If we buy new property or new facilities and we need to take out a loan, the bank who's going to give us a loan will look at this and say, you're already designating $1,000 a month to paying off that loan. Any pledges that we would get, they do not count the full amount of pledges, will actually show up. So by having this in the budget, that helps us if we were to ever get a loan and we're putting money into that fund every month. And then we also have funding in there for background checks and things like that. It was kind of a catch-all fund under that general admin type of thing. But because we didn't sell the property in Mansfield, we've had to do some more maintenance on it, lawn mowing, things like that. And that's what we didn't budget for. We thought we had a buyer lined up. COVID hit, the buyer backed out. And so we had to pay for some mowing and things. That's why that number's in the red. You can see it's not very much in the red. It's just less than $500 in the red on that. The other one is general admin. And that one is about $6,000 overspent. And that's because of all the video equipment. If you want to turn around collectively and look at our equipment back there, Troy, do your Vanna White, very good. And showing them all the equipment that we have. That's the expense. So we spent a lot of money to have quality video and audio equipment so that we can have a great online presence. And so we spent about $12,000 on that. So the fact that we're only about $6,000 in the red there on that line is pretty amazing. That was an unbudgeted expense. We had to do it. We spent the money, and through your all's faithful giving, you can see that, boy, we're still in the plus side throughout the year. The little graph on the left is just going to show you month. The straight line is our budget. So you can see giving was above the line. Early in the year, it dropped down a little bit, came way up high, and then it kind of stayed right about budget, dropping a little bit. So giving is still important. We still need faithful givers, but we're doing really well, and you can just see here for the year, we are so far doing very well. Are there any questions on this? So let me give you a couple updates. The property in Mansfield, we had a buyer. Due to COVID, they backed out of the deal. So we are trying to get that sold. We're still trying to sell the property. We just don't have a buyer lined up. When we do, we'll do that. We're watching. We don't know if we're going to get the same value at all. What the experts are saying, probably no, just because of everything that's happening with COVID, but we'll see. So we are also working an extension on the lease. So our lease for this facility at Grace Prep expires at the end of June, I think, next year. Okay. Okay, so next summer, the lease on this facility expires. So we're looking at a lease extension for another probably 2 years. And Charles is really working with some folks. Paul Johnson has graciously donated his time to look over all the legalities of it so that we will have a lease on this property. Grace Prep seems to be very pleased with us as a tenant and are eager for us to sign a lease now. They would like to know that we're going to be here a little while. We're going to put a provision in there that we can get out of the lease if we were to find a facility. We may pay a 1 or 2 month penalty, but we will have that provision. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I guess I was gonna ask, kind of answer my question there, but projected growth of the membership here, I mean, and if we're still COVID spacing, we feel that this room would be adequate in 2 years? But you said right there that we could break the lease and find something else.
Yes. So, yeah, I don't even want to speculate. I mean, I do pray that we get a vaccine soon. It looks like they're coming, and that maybe a sense of normalcy will begin to return in 2021, which would be wonderful. And we look forward to that, but we'll see. Charles?
The current occupancy for this building is, this auditorium is 320 people. So I think we've got a grace period here, even if the vaccine is delayed, you know, to be able to keep a fairly good amount of social distance. So
Right.
we're averaging 65 to 95 people, let's say.
Okay. So what he said, if for those of you at home, he said that the occupancy of this room is huge. It's over 300 people. So even with spacing, right now we're not getting close to filling that up. And hopefully with the vaccine and normalcy, we don't have to do the spacing for very long through 2021. Are there any other questions or thoughts? Yes, sir. No, that property is paid off, paid in full. We own it outright. We do pay taxes on it, and we do have to do mowing for it. Other than that, though, that is our land, free and clear. Okay, sorry, let me just repeat the question. The question was about the Mansfield. Do we owe any money on the Mansfield property? That was the answer. That was the little Jeopardy thing. What was the question? Yes, sir. Never mind. That was Vlad saying, never mind. Charles.
I think the congregation, it would be good for them to understand that we paid for the lease for this property
Okay.
ahead, 2 years at a time, and that's what's up as of July. We're paid.
Yeah.
We don't pay a monthly fee.
So just an update on the lease for this. When we got the lease on this facility at Grace Prep, to get a better deal, we paid up front. So we are not paying the monthly. We paid up front years ago on it. That's what expires next summer. Is that what we've already paid for? So we would have to, we're probably going to go month to month. So we're going to have to take that into account in the next budget as we look at that and see. Charles, do you remember the monthly or the weekly amount?
$750 a week.
$750 a week to lease this property.
They have guaranteed us to hold that amount for the next lease extension.
Okay. And that's a very good price for this facility. We were paying, I think, more for some of the public schools that limited us on our space and things in the past. Other questions or thoughts or comments? I know this is finance. It's the reason you came. Glad to answer anything I can. Otherwise, I will turn this back over to Jared to bring us home. Wait, we have, Erica.
Probably just to expand a little bit on the lease, we do have more access to the facilities.
Yes.
And the other buildings, there is the gym available, there are the portables outside, so we are basically expanding our.
So what Erica said, and by the way, I get nervous when she raises her hand for a question because I normally go to her for answers, and so that makes me nervous. So, but what she said is in the lease extension, and already we're seeing this. The Grace Prep is opening up their facility, so we have access to more facilities under the new lease to be able to use more areas. So that's a blessing, and more time during the day.
Does that include the gym?
Yeah, in the gym. Yes, she's nodding her head. I think it's up and down.
Does it include different days of the week?
By request. So Sunday, I think Charles got from 8 a.m. till 9 p.m.
That's what we're going after.
Yeah, we're going after all day Sunday. And then during the week, on a non-interference basis, we can request usage.
So like as our ladies Bible study would be here,
Yes, you could.
Yes.
but
According to if it works
All right, anything else? Finances was exciting. All right, thank you, sir. You're back up.
Okay, all right. The next thing before I open it up to Q&A, just want to let you guys know, we do have a staffing need here at the church. Just wanted to keep you posted and updated on that. There are, with regard to growth and how many people have come, I think it's a round, kind of a loose number, but within the last year, there have been 50, 55, if not more people who have showed up to the church in the last year. So people are finding us, people are showing up. We have newcomers all the time. And many of those people who have come have stayed and are making this, so I met with a guy, who has a young family on Friday. They're going to be a part of our church, and so we are growing. We are a growing church, and that's really exciting. We're not after numbers as an end in itself, but we're grateful for more people to minister to. And so what that means, however, though, is that it ups the ante as far as need to provide equipping and just provides an opportunity for more shepherding to be done. So that means that we are the size of a church that I really believe is in need of another paid shepherd staff person, another pastor, another paid elder. So I'd like you to be praying about that for us. The elders are in having that conversation. We don't know the exact day of when we would want to bring someone on. We're working through all the financials. It does look really good. It does seem like a real possibility. If you want to know specifics, you can bug Rich about that. So we're working through all those numbers now, and again, you look at the urgent needs of our church. There's a huge need for discipleship. Redemptive relationships would be one of those. There's a real need for families, and we want to equip families and minister to them. We also have it's not on the list, but a large number of singles as well, and so we want to be able to have someone to shepherd them specifically should they need it. Student ministries. Small groups, we want to train small group leaders and have someone, doing that, and training people in biblical counseling, someone to do outreach, both local and global. The other things on the list, I left about 4 or 5 other things off the list that are pretty high-level needs in our body here. So I think all of this, if you looked at this long list that I had on another document, you would agree, yeah, there is a need. Just one guy cannot do it all. When we feel that, I think we feel the pinch. To Janie's point, it's like, man, I need not another one of me, because we don't need 2 Jareds in the world. That would be bad. That would be good for no one. But it would be really great to have another shepherd who can help shoulder the load, so that we can get to some of those kind of needs that you mentioned. And so we need another guy. We need another pastor on staff. So be praying about that. Just wanted you to know that and be praying about that for us. Okay. All right. And I think, one more slide and then Q&A. So I'll roughly get us in the ballpark of, here's what's coming up as far as equipping classes. Since I'm up here, my mouth is moving, figure I can tell you this too. We're going to continue Greek, so second semester Greek. So we will have people who in the summer will be able to read biblical Greek and translate biblical Greek. That's really exciting to me. I love that. We're also going to do an ownership class starting in January. So they're going to have several people. It's going to be a big group who are going to become a new crop of owners at Christ Community. And so maybe we'll do the 1 to 3rd installment, 4th installment of the Genesis class. We will see. We'll see if Tommy wants to teach that. We'll be talking about that. And then I'll also be teaching a class on the doctrines of grace next semester as well. And I'll start that in February or March, something like that, after the ownership class. Okay, so we're just going to continually offer, biblical and theological training. Again, don't forget that starting January 3rd, we will. I really want to launch Kids Catechism at 9 a.m. I really want to start that again, so that people can come to equipping classes and have their kids be taught theology all at the same time. And then we'll be starting a children's ministry January 3rd as well. So that's what's coming up as far as like things that we are offering. Yeah. No. Well, so last class for part 1 will be in December, and then we'll launch it again in January, and that'll go all the way till June.
December
Yeah, they have two more classes in December, and then we start up again in January. I will not give you a big break. No rest for the weary.
We don't need a big break. What I mean is,
Yeah.
let's fill it up.
Yeah, fill it up. I know, I'm with you. Let's fill it up. No, great. I love your ambition, man. You're going to be good at Greek. So Q&A then. Q&A. This is where you can ask anything about anything, either something that I talked about here or concerns that you have. I mean, seriously. I mean, now's the time. If you feel like the nature of them demands a more private conversation, that's okay too. You don't have to say it out loud publicly. So there's a forum for that as well. But is there anything at all that you guys would like to ask me about, or anything that you feel concerned about? Yeah.
Are we still looking for a building?
Great question. The question is, are we still looking for a building? Yeah, we are. I mean, it's not a full-time job that we're doing, but we are keeping our ear to the tracks as far as properties that are available. There's a really nice property that we've kind of had our eye on down South Arlington. Yeah, off of Matlock, really nice building, and it's not being used, and it's really nice. I think it's move-in ready, and so their board of people who own the building, I don't know what they're doing, they're in discussion of, do they even want to have a conversation with us? They asked Erica, are you serious? And she said, we're serious. So they're going to discuss that, and so that'd be a really great location. It's real central for everybody, and so that's one. Should that fall through, we're always just going to keep looking. If you happen to know someone or see a building, let us know, and we'll scope it out. So we're always willing to take tours of properties. Yeah.
Do we have like a realtor that's helping find
Did we land on one person who's doing that for us? Sorry, Vlad's question was, do we have a realtor who's kind of assigned to us that we have who researches properties and stuff? Your answer is? Yeah, good. Assigned. Yeah. Right. It's funny though. It's interesting that world. Sorry, that was kind of a lot to recount to people at home. Basically, it's we've got multiple different kinds of people who kind of help us with the process, not just one realtor. It's funny though. Realtors are plenty willing to help you if you say, "Hey, would you be on the lookout for me?" And they're willing to do that, and they'll even kind of throw some stuff our way if they notice something. So realtors are even willing to help for free, and kind of help us out with that. But yeah, any other? Yeah, what do you got? What do you got for me? Anything at all? Yeah, Jesse. That's a great question. His question is, are we looking to do a mission trip soon? Maybe not for the next couple years. So as we're in that internal impact stage, we want to make sure we're at a place where we can do that and do that really well. But I would love to do that. There are, I know some guys in England. I know some people in the Czech Republic. I'd love to do something overseas like that. I mean, Sarah and I were deeply impacted as we went on missions trips overseas and interacted with lost people around the world. That was deeply impactful, shaping for us. And I would love, and I think that's one of the things that God used to kind of propel us into ministry. So I would love to provide those kinds of opportunities. So not in the next couple of years, but definitely. Oh, yeah. So his follow-up question is maybe not something overseas, but something more local, street ministry. Yeah, I mean, definitely yes, and hopefully as soon as we can. And nothing prevents anyone from doing that right now. If you want to go preach, the world is your pulpit, go for it. And seriously, I mean, do it, and if I got the time, I'll come hang out with you. As far as a concentrated church effort to do that, we're still going to wait some time on that, simply because, Jesse, not because we don't want to reach lost people. We most profoundly do. It's that right now we don't really quite yet have the infrastructure to do follow-up. We don't really have those kinds of things in place. Because again, if we're gonna reach them, we better be ready to shepherd them. And so we want to make sure that we have a good framework in place to follow up and disciple them, because again, that's what we're after, right? Not just converts. That's not just what you're talking about. Well, we don't just want converts. We want the whole deal where for life we're going to invest in those people. That's what Christ is talking about. So, man, I really want to do that. Let's do that as soon as we can. We're probably still a couple of years away from being able to do that effectively, I think. Not from reaching lost people, reach them, and we'll do our best to shepherd them. But as a concentrated church movement, we'll wait some time before we before we do that? That's a great question, though. Keep that on your radar. Keep that on your radar. Yeah, what else? What else you got for me? Let me ask you this. How am I doing? How am I doing for you up front? I'm just one guy. I've got blind spots. Are there ways that I could shepherd you better? Where does my preaching need to improve? Like, where do you see from me areas that you think it would be really great for me to work on? Do you guys see anything in me that you would love to see, or helpful advice, counsel that you think would be helpful for me to hear? What would you say to me? Yeah.
I really want you to keep up the seminars because they're very impactful. Granted, they're chock full of information,
Yeah.
but they're great teaching. As far as the preaching, if there are other people like me, we're very, very pro Jared. We love the fact that you're into expository preaching right now, as opposed to topical.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just say, hey, keep it up. Just don't burn out. Keep it up.
Don't burn out. Yeah. No. Yeah. No. Thanks for that, Charles. I really appreciate it. I love doing what I do. Man, oh man, I love it. So more than anything. And yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But yeah. What else? Anyone? Would you have anything? What are you seeing in me that might need some growth or improvement? Or yeah, Vicki.
Jared, one of the most lovely things about you is your humility.
I don't know about that. If you knew who I really was.
I had your training and your brains, and I would be all puffed up. You can talk to anybody on any level, and even the lowliest, a chief of sinners.
I don't know about that.
You are gracious and non-judgmental and loving and kind. But it's your humility and your passion for the Lord. It's contagious. I mean, I'm not as stubborn as I used to be, but it's because the Lord has used you in my life.
That's really sweet. Clearly, I have you fooled, but that is really, really sweet of you. Thank you. Yeah, I know you do. I know. What was it that you called yourself when we still lived in Spokane? Our Texas what?
Green.
Our Texas granny. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. Vicki was a pretty significant reason why we moved down. At first, I wasn't sure. It's like, wow, she threatened to drive a van down and take us hostage and bring us back to Texas. And I was like, okay, well, should we be going? I don't know.
Well, you called Rich.
Yeah.
He straightened you out.
That's true. That's true. One of these days, I'll tell you about how twice it didn't work out for us to come down. And I called Rich and it's like, you know what, take me out of the process. We're not going to come. And this is really early on. I'll tell you the whole story sometime and how Rich persuaded me. And I love it. Yeah, Vlad.
Somebody very close to me, I'm not going to say names, recently told me in my ear that out of 10 out of 10, you're a
10 out of. Do you happen to live with this person? Yeah. Well, that's really kind. That's really kind. Yeah, yeah.
So on the flip side, what could we be doing better to assist you? Because I know you're super busy with a lot of things. I mean, you're still working on your doctoral. You're writing articles for the Master's Seminary. You're doing all these equipping classes and groups, and you're teaching on Sundays.
Yeah.
And doing the seminars as well.
Yeah.
So, what else could we be doing for you to help alleviate some of your time, so that you can invest more into teaching?
That's really a great question. Yeah. So Yev's question is, okay, well, what can we be doing on the flip side? Is there anything we can do to help kind of meet some ministry needs and I think your question was free you up to do the things that you need to do. It's a really good question. I think one of the things is, as we talk about redemptive relationships, it would just mean the world to me if you just, really, grow in feeling the weight of one another's spiritual growth as your top priority. Invest in people, meet with one another, whether you feel comfortable doing that in person or online, I don't care. But just, meet with one another. The needs, your spiritual, the body is its own immune system. And so if you, the more you grow in investing one another spiritually, just stopping one another on a Sunday. I mean, this sounds small, but this means the world. I mean, this brings such delight to pastors' hearts when they see their people, talking about how they're doing spiritually and praying for one another. And so that's hard to measure, and it feels a little intangible, but that would be great. And because again, I can't get to all of you, and so for you to get to one another would be really huge. Also, I think, another thing is when you see people, not around, really own that as a priority for you to pursue them and find out how they're doing. Not in some weird, creepy, well, you weren't there, where were you? And, it's like no one's interested in just mere church attendance, right? What we're after is how we're doing spiritually. You can't do the Christian life. If someone's not online on Zoom and they're not here and they're just alone and they're not connected with any other believers, 100% of the time they're not doing well. They're not. You can't, the Christian life is not, you can't do it. You're not doing well spiritually. So, and I'm sure that those people exist. And so just pursue people and love people and be involved in their lives and share scripture with them. That'd be really huge. Another thing is ministry teams. When we, that would be just a massive boost to our church as we have ministry teams and you just, you be a part of those and look for opportunities to serve. Even in small ways, that would be really huge. The body needs to meet those kinds of needs, and I feel I had been concerned over Erica before because there was just too many things that she was responsible for on a Sunday morning that really should be distributed to others in the body. So please join a ministry team. That would be really helpful as much as you can. Again, we're not just after, well, just do something, would you? I mean, your worth is not in what can you do for us. It's that do you feel the weight of the health of the body, and what's a way that you can utilize your giftedness to help make this church a healthy church that changes the world. That's what we're after. So those would be some things. And pray like crazy. Pray like crazy. Man, that would just be huge. Just pray and pray and pray. And if you want specific ways to pray, let's talk. And so pray for those kinds of things. Hope that helps a little bit. Bobby sent in a question. I'm so glad he did. When do you think we'll be posting an opening for another pastoral staff? Ideally, when do we want to bring him in? Good question, Bobby. I don't know that we'll be posting anything on a forum and just do a sort of like, anyone out there, world, sign up, send us a resume. I think what we'll do, Bobby, is we will, probably start we definitely will. And in fact already have looked at a close circle of men that I personally know that I would be really interested in having us here, work here at this church with us. So at this point, we won't open it up to any seminaries. We'll just stick with sort of like hand-picked people that I know personally, and we'll go through a good process of interviewing him. As far as ideally when we want to bring him in, yesterday, that'd be super, but probably realistically, since these things do take some time, and we're probably looking at the spring, the early spring sometime. So that's kind of where that's at. Anything else though, as far as things you need, ways you'd love to see me grow, and ways that I can help you? Yeah, Peter, was that your hand? Yeah, please. Oh yeah, great. Yeah, it's so great. This is such a fun thing. So he asked about my PhD. So I am about 40 pages into chapter 1. Chapter 2 is almost completely written, about 96 pages. It's a really long chapter. So I've got almost 2 complete chapters out of 5. That's really exciting. I feel really, now, I'm sure it's, really, going to need a ton of editing, and I'm going to have to go through that really humiliating process of my advisor going, yeah, that's terrible. Rewrite that. Yeah, do that over. I know.
About your dissertation.
What's that? This is the actual dissertation. So chapter 1 is 3/4 of the way done. Probably have another 25 pages to go. Chapter 2 is almost done. I know where I'm going with the other chapters. So it feels like light-ish at the end of the tunnel. And that is really great.
So you're still in the darkness.
I'm still in the darkness, yes. A metaphorical darkness, not the, not spiritual darkness. Yeah. Keep praying for that. Keep praying for that. It's rigorous, and I wake up early and go to bed late and work on it, and and it's I told Sarah yesterday. I've said this to Carlos too. In a really good way, I live a double life. I have this whole other life that you don't know about. Like I attend academic conferences, and I presented a paper at this evangelical society, and I write these articles, and I interact with this whole other world, and it's like I live this, and I traveled for my doctoral training. I just live this total other life that you don't know about. And I love how the two worlds intersect, and it's really great. So whether you know it or not, you do receive, I hope it's beneficial, but the benefits of my own doctoral work and long hours.
It's not light, it's extra light.
Extra light, yes, I'm exposed to extra light. Yeah, so keep praying though. It's rigorous, and it demands my all. And I know smart people. I know smart people, Vicki, and I'm not in that. I'm not in that club. I know those guys, and they're absolutely brilliant, and so it's really sweet to rub shoulders with them. But yeah, Teague.
If a member of the church needs like biblical counseling, I'm assuming that there's more people that need biblical counseling than like that you personally can give counsel to. Like, what process should they follow to like line them up with the appropriate person?
Great
to
question.
Counsel them or that kind of thing.
Great question. So Teague's question was really fantastic. Thank you. Is if someone needs biblical counseling, they need to meet with someone. What's the process to go through? So I would say a couple different ways. One, if you're part of a small group, talk to your small group leader first and say, hey, I've got some things I'd like to meet and discuss with someone, for kind of some biblical counseling. And I would say, ask the small group leader, would you be willing to meet with me? And start there. And if they feel like, that they need something a little more intensive, or maybe just some time that, I don't know, whatever it may be, if they feel like they needed something other or in addition to their small group leader, because I want the small group leader to be involved. If they needed something in addition to that, I would say, ask them to contact me, or they could send an email to Erica and make an appointment in that way. So I am available, so I do meet with people for those kinds of things. And I really enjoy doing it. I'm not the world's greatest biblical counselor, but I love doing it. I really love extending hope best I can through the scriptures. And so if you have that, talk to your small group leader. And if you don't have a small group leader, get one. And if you need something in addition, contact Erica or even just me directly. And we'll do our best to meet with you as soon as we can. So we really want to be available. However, I've got a list of people in my head right now that is like, you know what? I would be totally comfortable pointing those people to them too. So there's some people who are, I don't think you have to be, you definitely do not, let's put it this way, this needs to be said, you definitely do not have to be certified in biblical counseling to do biblical counseling, because biblical counseling is just redemptive relationships, right? So Sarah biblical counsels me every week, and so that's what we should be doing with one another. Anyway, so there's, other than me, there would also be some people that I would very much recommend. It's like, you know what, you can meet with this person and to spend some time with them as well. So hopefully that process makes sense. Was that clear enough? Yeah. Thanks, Teak. Great question. Anything else? Well, I'm so grateful for you guys. Thanks for being here. I know this makes for a long day, but we want to grow. I just want you to know I want to grow. I know I'm not there. I know how this works. I mean, I'm just one guy. I'm going to make you mad, and I'm going to disappoint you. And let's just be honest, you're going to disappoint me, and that's what family does, right? We work through issues together, and so we are a church, a body together, highly imperfect, and so we just need to depend on Christ so much to grow and change and to be able to deal with the things that happen in the body. And but please know that we want to hear from you, and we want to care for you the best we can. So please be in touch with us. We this sounds really condescending. We can't read your mind. We don't know what we don't know, and so if you've got something you're going through or need help with, please talk to us. That's what shepherds do. Shepherds really want to know those things, and so please share with us those kinds of things. And although highly imperfect, by the grace of Christ, we'll do our best to minister to those things, okay? So we really care for you guys, and we know we're not amazing at that. We want to grow at that, and we want to be there with you and help you live Christ-exalting lives that bring glory to him, okay? All right, well, I'll pray, and then you guys can leave and do whatever you want, all right? So, first of all, this Awesome. Thank you. Who did that? That's really nice. Thank you also to Erica and Ellie for getting food together. And there are many hands at work to make Sunday morning work. And grateful for Luke and his ministry, the tech team. I mean, this is this is not a one-man show. This is a team. This is a community of people who make Sunday mornings happen. So I'm grateful for that. All right, let's pray. Well, Lord, thank you for a time of just unscripted being together. Thank you that there is much happening here, many supernatural things for which we can be thankful. There are many new people who are interested in getting connected with our church, and many faithful saints who have persevered through some tough years and who are still here today, and we are grateful for them. Thank you for the example of Earl and Louise, Lord, who stuck with the church for decades and loved people and cared for people and were examples of faithful loving of you. And Lord, what we want are more Earls and Louises in the years to come. Those who are in their 20s and 30s now, oh Lord, may they be such an example. Thank you for the Reeves and others who have been a part of this church for so long and who are so invested in seeing this church grow. And Lord, we stand on their shoulders and we look to them for much needed wisdom to how to continue to grow as a church. We need them. We need the whole body. So thank you for this time. Pray that this would be an encouragement and that we would leave more ready to jump into ministry and more ready and excited to see you at work than ever before. Thank you so much for this time together. In Christ's name, amen. All right. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. You may go.